And welcome back to the Real Investment Hour. I'm Rich Rosso, certified financial planner, here with Danny Ratliff, also certified financial planner, and special, did I say special? Guest, Perth Tolle. She's the founder of Life and Liberty Indexes, a very unique way to structure emerging market ETFs. And just to think, she was a schlub like the rest of us, working at brokerage and Fidelity, and look what she did. Now she's like some superstar. She hangs out with all the A-listers in finance. Oh, ha, 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 Barry
What is she doing here?
Oh, I know. When she comes here, she goes, "Oh, I'm slumming again."
Oh, man.
So, but we're glad to have her. We're going to talk to her today about, emerging markets or submerging markets. We've been out of them for a while, but we would look to get back in eventually. What affects emerging markets, and what was the drive for Perth to do this? I think it's a very noble way to establish, who would have thought, indexes. I mean, very unique. Very, very unique. So your insights on emerging markets and what you see coming and why you decided to go on this incredible trek that you've been on to market these and so forth. So we're going to definitely get to that. Hey, well, a couple of things is we did see that GE dropped out of the Dow, has been dropped out of the Dow for Walgreens.
Yeah, that's a long time coming.
111 years.
Yeah.
Brent and I remember when GE first got in there 111 years ago. And
they bring good things to life.
Not anymore.
Not.
Although they do make a darn good washing machine, I must tell you. Plain washing machine, though. I don't like all the bells and whistles. And speaking of that, with all these tariffs, we're seeing what I call a washing machine, an overload, so to speak, on prices, like a 20% hit or increase to prices due to tariffs on washing machines.
So it's probably not just washing machines alone. That's going to hit a lot of appliances that we frequently use, right?
Yeah, good thing we don't. Listen, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to say that it's a good thing that there are tariffs on washing machines. You know why? Do you ever walk into a Best Buy and look for a washing machine? There's like 8 rows of washing machines. They sparkle. They have little bells and whistles. I walked in with my daughter to Best Buy, and I walked right out. It's called the paradox of choice. I was totally stunned and frozen by what washing machines do today.
Well, the problem is that if you haven't bought one within the last 2 years, you're in trouble, right? Because they don't make them last like they used to. The old school GE is not. They don't do that anymore. No. None of these companies do.
So here's what's going to happen. As maybe this is a good thing, and I'll tell you why. Just go back to why can't we just go back to do what washing machines used to do? Wash clothes. I don't want to watch TV on it. I don't want to program it from my phone. I don't want my dog being able to add softener to it. I don't need anything. I don't need it to play music. I don't need it to be tied to Bluetooth. All I wanted to do is wash the clothes.
Yeah, those things.
So I will go for the $497 version with the dent on the side, because nobody cares about a dent. Why don't people buy dented appliances? The richest people I know buy dented appliances.
And you can't see the dent.
You cannot see the dent.
What are you going to show off your washing machine?
This is damaged. I'm like, where?
Yeah. Everything I own is damaged. You kidding me? Come on. I got 3 kids. I want that.
Yeah, we go to Danny's house and we want scratch and dent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what? This might get people to be a little bit more price sensitive and start cutting out all the bells and whistles. But so the question, Mark had a question. I think it's an off-air question for some reason. He doesn't want to talk to us tonight. I'm offended. GE dropped from the Dow. Good buying opportunity. Well, there has been research that shows that once companies move away from the Dow, that it might be a good buying opportunity, although with GE, that might be the exception. In other words, when you look at GE right now and where it's trading, I would tell you that I would probably wait before I purchased it. Definitely something to watch, but they have a huge road ahead of them to turn things around.
Maybe let it go through one rent cycle.
Nice one.
Keep an eye on it. I mean, again, if it's going to go into the S&P 500, then obviously indexes will need to do that. I need to own it. But for the most part, I would tell you that you need to look at more than just the fact that it's going to move out of the Dow as a viable purchase. To me, it's speculation at this point, for sure. That CEO has definitely got his hands full turning that ship around.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's known for the dividend. I've looked at some cash flow on it. I'm not sure about the dividend and the safety of it, even though
it's a risk again, right? Mm-hmm. And so with these numbers, the way they've been showing it, does make it a lot more difficult. And plus, it's going to be somewhat, it's not necessarily probably net going from the Dow to the S&P, but it's going to be exchanging of hands, right? It's going to go from one to the other. So
sometimes the market is very efficient. Stocks get cheap for a reason and stay there. So I would rather see some recovery here before I went ahead and put my hard-earned investment dollars. But actually a very good observation, Mark, because there are studies that show that companies tend to do better, or at least stock prices tend to do better once they leave the Dow. But I would definitely wait on this. But we also have Louis on the phone. Hi, Louis.
Hello?
How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Man, I got a Whirlpool, and the next door neighbor gave it to me, but she was getting too old, and it's a brand new one. And she gave me all the paperwork, and I'm happy with it.
What does it do? Tell me what it does.
It's got two. You can go up to 2 cycles for your rinse. You can rinse twice.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah, it doesn't have a television, and it doesn't have a cell phone. What I wanted to ask you is the impact of this war trade, with China and all that. I mean, what happened to the United States before China came in the system, when they were just, in those junk boat of them? We were building our own stuff over here. We were building good quality of products. Why can't we survive with our own products? Why do we have to depend on the crap that they send to Walmart and all of it? All the stuff that comes from China is nothing but garbage. I'm telling you, they make some good, I mean, there's a few things that they can make, but most of them they copy from us. Why can't we go back to that same way? I mean, why can't we build our own? I know that you're going to say, well, they're going to have to pay people more money and the insurance and so on. I don't know how that works out, but this is going to impact all of us.
No, and obviously it creates a lot of turmoil. It's called the tariff tantrum that you've got going on right now. You don't really know ultimately what's going to happen, at least with the additional tariffs that President Trump's looking at. So obviously more volatility. It's tough. This has been in the making for a very long time. There's a great book out there called Cheap, and it talks about how we became addicted to cheaper goods. So in many ways, globalization has allowed us to increase our standard of living because we haven't seen wage growth for 2 decades. So as far as the quality goes, Louis, we talk about it on the show a lot. You would rather buy higher quality, hold on to it longer, but we are addicted to cheap, and part of it is we just don't have the money. So cheap is where we go.
You can buy a flat screen television for nothing, barely, but
yep.
And that's what's killing the United States. And people have to realize we got to stop buying stuff built here. But we can. I don't know if we have enough people, the technicians, to build. We don't build here anymore.
Well, Louis,
am I right?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Economy. I mean, that's.
Well, just last week we had a James, CEO of a refinery here, who called in and mentioned that he had a difficult time finding people to work. Mm-hmm. And I think that we'd have the same problem in factories, and so that's a big issue that nobody wants to do those types of jobs.
Well, and I agree with you there, because what the liberals done to this country in the past 70 years, they screw everything up, and they look how they poison the minds of our children. And I mean, in the school, you send the kids to school today, it's like you're wasting your time with them, unless you got private or somehow that you can teach them on your own, because they don't teach math and English and proper behavior when you're going to go look for a job, how presentable you have to look. You don't want to go look for a job out there and look like you got like a billboard with tattoos all over your damn body and the way you dressed up. They look at you, people just don't realize that. Years ago, you used to get out of school and they teach you how to dress properly, how to do an interview, and this is, we got people that can't even fill out an application when they go look for a job.
Well, Louis, one of the reasons that we don't buy stuff that's made in America any longer is because we can't afford to make it here. We can't afford to pay American workers
20 years
what they want,
stagnation,
and then pay for it. Exactly.
They raise their taxes, so now you're going to have to pay more money to these people, because we have 2 types of political parties in the United States. One that doesn't want to work, that wants to live off everybody else's taxes, so they raise the taxes on the people who are struggling, and then you got the dumbasses that go and vote for them. Keep voting for these people, so when they raise their taxes, guess what's going to happen? We're going to have to depend on cheap stuff. And you go to any of these places, You buy stuff, you have to take it back because there's part missing and so on. You got to start realizing you got to build here in the United States, make this country, the way it was. But the problem is the party that lives off other people's money. They're the one that screw up the economy. If we're going to go back, because there hasn't been yet one Democrat that ever built jobs, private job, not government job, private job. Nobody can tell me that. No one yet.
No, hey, Louis, thanks for the call. Lots of good observations there.
I'll tell you, Louis is fired up.
He is.
He's fired up. The one thing that Louis is right about is now we're going to be paying more money for goods that come from China. I wrote in my book in 2012 that China's going to be expensive. We're going to have to go to the life and liberty countries to outside of China to make purchases because we want things. We are so addicted to cheap and having things cheaper and cheaper. I can't even pronounce the labels on my shirts anymore. I mean, I don't even know where they're making these things anymore. I mean, I don't even want to look them up on the map. I'm afraid. Okay, because the thing is, once we maybe finally get some wage growth and people understand that maybe you don't want to buy the highest quality, but you don't want the lowest quality either, and maybe you should live within your standard of living as opposed to above it, and maybe this whole thing will align. But Louis, I'm not going to hold my breath, man. I'm not going to hold my breath. But this tariff escalation and the talk of it is definitely, you better buckle yourself in a little bit in the markets because that's just par for the course.
Well, and that's just what you and I were talking about earlier today is that we're seeing this will cause inflation, just not the right type. And that's a whole other problem in itself.
Believe it or not, there are studies that show it might even be deflationary, so we don't really know yet to where this escalates. Maybe this is some elaborate way to art the deal. I'm not sure.
Hey, I keep thinking it's a game of chicken, right? Hoping.
Yeah, and you're the one holding the beak. Hey, we're taking your calls at 281-558-5738. You're listening to the Real Investment Hour on AM 700, the voice of Texas.
Follow Lance on Twitter @LanceRoberts or go to realinvestmentadvice.com.